Okay, so this is kind of a follow up, at least on rentals. Some questions posed primarily by Ike Mann that I wanted to address, at least as far as rental properties, what I look for, some scenarios. And my scenarios, or at least what I look for, is relevant, I believe, to Northeast Ohio. Um, it's going to vary everywhere in the country. I mean, I've seen a lot of investors who like to come to Northeast Ohio because property prices are pretty cheap. And with that, um, you also got decent rent prices. So you get return on investment a little bit quicker, I think, here than you might get in some other areas around the country, which makes real estate especially attractive. Excuse me one second. Dog was trying to get a toy and he couldn't. Okay, so I've actually outlined two scenarios here, and I hope that you can see this. One, I believe, is a hypothetical scenario that will actually probably be applicable to somebody looking in maybe the Canton, Ohio area, maybe even Akron. Um, so, what I've done here is got a hypothetical purchase price on this property of $30,000, and let's say it's a single family home, and you're getting a monthly rent of that of $600, which for a $30,000 purchase price, $600 might be a little low, maybe 50, 75 bucks a month low, but I want to be a little bit conservative in these numbers here to make sure that you're getting a good understanding of what it is that you're getting into. So with that, I want to know how much revenue that's going to bring me in per year. So 600 times 12 for 12 months, assuming it's fully rented, is going to give me $7,200. Now, that's in a perfect world. You're going to get that $7,200 in your pocket, but it's not a perfect world. So there are repair costs. Sometimes you get vacancies. Sometimes you just need to do little upgrades here and there, get somebody out for maintenance. So banks calculate it, and I'm a bank guy. So banks calculate your rental income at 75% of whatever it is on your taxes. Even if this is the income that you made, like let's say that you made $100,000 last year profit, the bank's still only going to calculate that at 75% just in case stuff happens. Like maybe next year you have excessively high vacancies or maintenance costs. So for this scenario, I've done that 75%, which brings you down to $5,400. And this is assuming that you have no mortgage on the property, that you purchased it with cash. And then I always want to remember that there's going to be property taxes. So I think Canton, Ohio, Akron, probably not Akron, but Canton for sure. A $30,000 house, you might have $1,000 a year in property taxes. So that's going to bring you down to $4,400. So at the end of the year, assuming everything went well, you're going to have $4,400 in your pocket profit, which isn't bad. To actually get a percentage of what your return on investment is, you just simply do whatever your profit is, that $4,400 divided by your purchase price of $30,000, and you get this 0.147%, which multiply that by 100 to get the percentage equals 14.7% that you see down here, which is a pretty good return on investment if you think about it. A lot of investment advisors, they try to say on average the stock market over the long term, you could expect maybe 5, 6, 7, even 8% returns, which this would put you at, double that almost. So you're almost doubling the long term returns of the stock market, just by investing in your $30,000 in real estate versus doing it into, say, the S&P 500. Now, this is just a hypothetical scenario I made up, so just to see how that holds true, and I always am an advocate for multifamily properties. I love duplexes, triplexes, quadruplexes, 100-unit plexes if I could afford them. I would definitely love to have a big apartment building for sure. But the reason for that is you get, what is it? You get better economies of scale. So you have one building, it's one roof to worry about. I've got 4 tenants in this one building. It's all in a central utility system, but 2 water heaters instead of 4, having to worry about it. 4 separate single family homes, because I did have to replace those. 1 lawn to worry about maintenance on, 1 main set of stairs. So you get less things that can go wrong in theory, because I've had tenants on the 3rd floor overrun a bathtub that goes down to the 2nd floor unit, which causes headaches. But that all gets factored into your maintenance expenses. But I definitely am a fan of multifamilies, and this is why. So in my scenario, I did get a really good deal. This was 2015, I want to say, that I purchased this building. And the owner was an old man. His partner had just died, and he was trying to liquidate a lot of his buildings. So sometimes you'll come across deals like this. So my building, I got a 4-unit building in Akron for $70,000 about. And I wasn't getting this at the time, but this is, I don't remember what it was at the time. It wasn't significantly less. I might have been getting maybe $300-400 a month less in rent. Every time the unit flips over, I try to make it a little bit nicer, and I bump up rent by maybe $25. But right now I'm at $26.40 a month in revenue. So $26.40 a month times the 12 months, assuming everything's fully rented, comes to $31,680. And that's not counting my laundry room, which probably brings me in maybe another $500 a year, but that's nothing significant. So I do want to account for, maintenance costs, maybe a vacancy for a couple of months. I do have utility costs that I pay for. I include all utilities. So this can help give a good estimate. So this is pretty accurate, coming down to $23,760 a year in profit. Minus the property taxes, about $2,400, which is about right. And this is assuming no mortgage on the property, even though I do have one. Interest rates like 3.75%, so it doesn't really make much sense to throw tens of thousands of dollars into paying it off when I could put tens of thousands of dollars into another property and, look at maybe 14% return on investment. So if I do that same formula over here and I just divide my profit by my purchase price of the house, you'll see actually that I get 30.5% return on initial investment every year as profit. So after 3 years, I make about in profit the entire purchase price of this property. Now, this neighborhood, I would say it's probably a DC class neighborhood if you've done much reading into that. Working class neighborhood, a lot of immigrants, some homeless folks in the area. Honestly, the schools, aside from this one school that's directly across the street from my building, they're not that great. If you go on Zillow, they're probably 2 to 4 out of 10. So I don't really look at that too much when I'm looking at a rental property. The way that I see it is, as long as the neighborhood itself is decent, you're going to find a decent tenant. As long as you do your screening right, and that's for a different video and different conversation. But there's people everywhere. There's 330 million Americans, and all of them need a place to live. And if you are a landlord who takes care of your property, keeps it clean, does your screening right, is responsive whenever there are major issues, you'll keep that unit rented and keep a happy tenant and make sure that that unit stays continually rented. So I'm not too concerned about, neighborhoods, school districts. I don't really take that into concern whenever I'm doing a rental. Now, maybe for a flip, that might be a little bit different, and we can get into that more in another video. But at least this is something to start with, and I think it shows that I like multifamily properties. You can see, I'm double what the return is on this hypothetical situation. And you guys might know, $30,000 on a property is hard to get in even in Canton, for a single family home that's going to be in decent condition, especially how the market is right now. But you can take a look and sometimes find duplexes that need some lipstick, maybe a little bit of maintenance, for $30,000, $40,000, $50,000, $60,000. So if you're looking at getting a duplex for $40,000 to $50,000, you're still going to get your $600 a month rent, maybe $650. But you're going to be getting that in 2 units, and you're going to be paying maybe 75% more. So you start getting those increasing economies of scale, getting those better returns as you get those bigger properties, in my opinion. But if you got any more questions, I'll definitely do follow-up videos. This is to be educational, and this is completely based off my experience. There are a lot of people out there who have tens, dozens, hundreds of properties out there who might give you different advice, but this is just for our little niche market of Northeast Ohio, and it can be applicable to other people out there. But hopefully some people that I know, or some people in the area who want to get started in this is at least a little bit of information so that maybe you can start feeling a little bit comfortable with taking that plunge. It's probably the best investment I've ever made is getting into rental properties. So I'd recommend it to anybody. And if you have any more questions, don't hesitate to ask.